Good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime News on TV1. For the News First team, I'm Dithmini De Silva. Let's start off with a look at the headlines. Strike action by paramedic services cripples hospital activities. Over 200,000 people affected by arid weather conditions. Central Bank of Sri Lanka maintains policy interest rates at their current levels. Most Venerable Nathagammuwe Vijay Maitri Theru, the Anunayaka of the Ramanya Mahanikaya, has passed away. Wagner boss on board jet that crashed in Russia. Activities across state hospitals were crippled as a result of the trade union action launched by paramedic services. The strike is on until 8 a.m. on Friday and is taking place citing 7 individual demands. Patients visiting the Mathura District General Hospital were severely inconvenienced by the strike action. News First correspondents reported that a large number of patients visiting the Kurunegala Teaching Hospital were inconvenienced due to the non-availability of services to issue medicine, conduct blood tests and other laboratory services. A similar situation was experienced at the Hingurakoda Base Hospital. However, medicines were issued to patients attending clinics. Activities at the Karapide Teaching Hospital were also crippled due to the strike action. However, the clinics operated as usual. The Government Medical Officers Association said that the number of Sri Lankan doctors that migrated for work is far greater than the official figures released by the Ministry of Health.
The Health Ministry said nearly 1,000 graded doctors, around 275 to 300 specialists have left the system. The numbers are higher from information we receive from the field. Treatment services are hindered as a result and need to be limited. Issues have arisen in several hospitals. 5,000 doctors who have the qualifications to serve as doctors in other countries are still here. 1/4 of the 20,000 doctors in Sri Lanka who are ready to leave the country haven't reached the decision to leave yet and are still here.
MP Dr. Kavinda Jayawardena expressed these views regarding the current health crisis in Sri Lanka following a program held on Wednesday.
We have tabled a no-confidence motion against the Health Minister who created the collapse of the health sector, affecting patients' health, led to the hospital closures and outdated medical equipment, medicine shortages, the importation of substandard medicine and pushed doctors to leave the country. If any MP supports the minister, they are betraying their public mandate.
In another headline-making story, approximately 280,000 Sri Lankans from 81,158 families across 18 districts have been affected by arid weather conditions.
Sri Lankan people living in Ratnapura, Trincomalee, Batiklo, Ampara, Kurunegala, Jaffna, Matale, Monaragala and Hambantota districts have been severely affected by the drought and lack of clean drinking water. 70,238 affected people are from the Hambantota district. At the same time, rice farmers have started to reap their harvest in Patalagama, Hambantota. They had opted to reap the harvest early as wild elephants had reached to encroach on villages to consume the remaining paddy crops spared by drought and lack of water. Rice farmers lament that over 50 acres of rice fields in Gothamigama, Kataragama were destroyed by the dry spell. They pointed out that the supply of water to the rice fields delivered once daily is not sufficient to nurture their crops. Sri Lanka's central hills were also affected by the arid weather conditions. The old muscular town has re-emerged after the water levels of the Mausakala reservoir dropped. The irrigation engineer in charge of the reservoir said that the water level dropped to 35% of the total capacity. The old Kadirisen Kovil, Ganadevi Kovil, temples and other remnants of the old town have re-emerged.
In more local news, Sri Lanka's State Minister of Defence, Premita Bandara Thennakoon, has requested the Forest Conservation Department, the Wildlife Department and the police to take punitive actions within the existing legal framework against offenders involved in creating forest fires. The State Minister was speaking at a discussion on the prevailing dry weather and the increase of forest fires in the country on Wednesday.
පවතින නීති රාමුව තුල කැලෑ ගිනි තැබීම් වලට සම්බන්ධ වන අයට
We requested the Forest Conservation Department, the Wildlife Department and the police to take punitive actions within the existing legal framework against the offenders involved in creating forest fires. This is a collective effort. At the same time, the Met Department has forecast that the dry weather conditions will prevail for a few more weeks. We hope that all citizens will support us in this effort. The Disaster Management Center has already extended its full support to all the related agencies.
රජයේ සියලු දෙපාර්තමේන්තු ත්‍රිවිධ හමුදාව සිවිල් ආරක්ෂක බලකාය පොලිසියෙන් ලබාගෙන ඇති බවත් මතක් කරනවා.
The Agriculture and Agrarian Insurance Board said that the number of rice fields damaged during the Yala harvesting season spiked to 51,055.19 acres.
The Agriculture and Agrarian Insurance Board said that the Kurunegala district experienced the highest damage, where 15,352.46 rice fields were ruined. In addition, 424.7 acres of land used for the cultivation of other crops were also ruined.
Director of the Water Management Unit of the Department of Irrigation, Sudarshini Vidanapathirana, convened a media briefing on Thursday.
යලකන්නේ සඳහා වාරිමාර්ග දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවේ යටතේ වගාබිම් 5,86,000ක් පමණ වී වගා කිරීම සිද්ධ කරනු ලැබුවා. මේ වන විට 65ක පමණ ප්‍රමාණයක අස්වනු නිලීම් සිදු කළ අවසන් ඒ වගේම 95ක වගේ ප්‍රමාණයකට අවසන් ජල මුරේ නිකුත් කිරීමත්.
Paddy was cultivated in around 586,000 farmlands under the Irrigation Department for the Yala season. Around 65% of the lands have been harvested and the last stream of water was released to 95% of the lands. The 73 reservoirs of the Irrigation Department have a capacity of around 815,000 acre-feet, which is around 27%. Irrigation directors and regional irrigation engineers of the Irrigation Department are concluding harvesting activities through good water management. Over 50% of the contribution for national food security is provided through the farmlands managed under the Irrigation Department. We are preparing for the upcoming Maha season and the 2024 Yala season. The Met Department has predicted high rainfall between October and December and arid weather conditions during the first few months of 2024. Therefore, we advise regional officers to prepare the land for harvesting using rainwater by mid-October for the Maha season and to use water sparingly for the Maha season to preserve water in the reservoirs for the Yala season.
ඒ වගේම ජලාශවලට අපි වැඩි ධාරිතාවක් ඊළඟ යලකන්නේ සඳහා සුරක්ෂිතව තබා ගත යුතු නිසා පුළුවන් තරම් අවම ජල ප්‍රමාණයකින් මහකන්නේ වගාවන් සිදු කළ යුතු බවත් මේ වන විට දැනුම් දීම කළා තියෙනවා.
Sri Lanka's opposition leader Sajith Premadasa has called on the government to clarify the authenticity of local and international media reports on national security.
පහුගිය දිනවල ජාත්‍යන්තර සහ දේශීය මාධ්‍යවල
In recent days, foreign and local media quoted various intelligence agencies as saying there are tensions between races and religions in Sri Lanka and that there is an unrest or another conflict. This is a serious matter that affects national security. We request that the government convene all parties and determine if there is any truth to these reports. We all know the confusing situation that arose regarding security following these attacks.
අපි හැමෝම දන්නවා පාස්කු ප්‍රහාරයත් සමග මේ රටේ නිර්මාණය වුණු ආරක්ෂක ව්‍යාකූලයක්. නිසා විශේෂයෙන්ම මම ඉල්ලීමක්
I am requesting the government and parliament to direct attention towards this sensitive matter and inform all political parties in this regard.
මේ වැදගත් ප්‍රශ්නය පිළිබඳව සියලුම දේශපාලන පාර්ශව දැනුවත් කරන්නට මේ සභාව දැනුවත් කරන්නට කටයුතු කරන්න ඉල්ලනවා.
In other news, students of Al Hira College, Mana, visited the MTV-MBC Broadcasting Centre in Depanama on Wednesday. The students received a hands-on experience of live broadcasting for Sirasa, Shakti and TV1 channels, as well as the Sirasa FM, Shakti FM, YFM, Yes FM and Legends radio channels. The students also gained practical knowledge on main control room operations for radio and television. In other local news, most venerable Nadagamwe Vijaya Maitri Thero, the Anunayak of the Ramanya Mahanikaya, has passed away at the age of 73. Most venerable Nadagamwe Vijaya Maitri Thero, the Anunayaka of the Ramanya Mahanikaya, passed away while being treated for an illness at the Sri Javardhanapura Hospital. The late Most Venerable Thero was ordained in 1963 and served as an administrative member of the Bhikkhu University of Sri Lanka in Anuradhapura. The funeral arrangements will be decided on Thursday evening.
Divisavya, the second leg of the Divisavya program to provide much needed school books and stationery items to school children in Sri Lanka. 25th of August, Mahaba and Nikavalatia.
Dai Daruwange Anagate Winuwin Divisavya, LOLC Prajasatkara Mehevara.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Thursday expressed gratitude to world leaders for their wishes on Chandrayaan 3's successful landing on the moon. After a failed attempt nearly 4 years ago, India made history by becoming the first country to touch down near the little explored South Pole region and joins the United States, the Soviet Union and China in achieving a moon landing. India's moon mission Chandrayaan 3 made a perfect landing today near the South Pole of the moon. The next big maneuver was the rolling out of the Pragyan rover, which will send data from the spot to the lander that will be relayed to space agency ISRO. The launch of the rover, though, took time. This is because the rover cannot be launched till the dust kicked up by the touchdown of the Vikram lander is dissipated. The gravity of moon being a fraction of that of Earth, dust does not settle the way it does on Earth. The rover Pragyan will first extend its solar arrays and roll out with a wire connected to the lander Vikram. The wire will be snapped once the rover is stable on the lunar surface. It will then start its scientific mission. The experiments will continue for 14 days, which is a single moon day. As the night on the moon begins, the solar-powered equipment is likely to shut down. The data to be sent by Pragyan is of vital importance, given the traces of water found in the area. This was detected by a NASA instrument aboard the ISRO's Chandrayaan-1 probe in 2009. Chandrayaan 3 is the first moon mission to land near the south pole of the moon, and this is the first opportunity to explore the possibility of the presence of water, which will be a crucial commodity in view of future moon missions. Yevgeny Prigozhin, head of the Russian mercenary force Wagner, was listed among 10 passengers reported killed when a private jet crashed north of Moscow. Authorities are investigating the cause of the crash, which occurred exactly 2 months after Prigozhin led his fighters in a short-lived mutiny against Russia's military leadership.
Russia's aviation agency said that the Wagner chief, Yevgeny Prigozhin, was one of the 10 people on board a plane that crashed while traveling from Moscow to St. Petersburg. The plane crashed on Wednesday near the village of Kuzankino. Pro-Kremlin television stations reported, citing its own sources, that Prigozhin's body has been provisionally identified, but that DNA analysis was still pending. The crash, which remains shrouded in mystery, has ignited speculation about how Prigozhin, an outspoken critic of top Russian defense officials, met his fate if his death is officially confirmed. The Grey Zone Telegram channel, which is affiliated with Prigozhin's Wagner mercenary forces, suggested the plane was shot down but offered no evidence to support its claim. Top Wagner commander Dmitry Yukin was also reportedly on the plane. The plane was a private aircraft carrying 7 passengers and 3 crew members, according to Russia's Emergency Services Ministry. It had departed from Moscow and was en route to St. Petersburg when it crashed in the village in Russia's western region. Flight data shows the plane reached an altitude of some 28,000 feet before it suddenly stopped transmitting tracking details. The bodies of 8 people have been found at the crash site. An official state news agency reported that the plane burned up on impact. It had been in the air for about half an hour.
Moving back to local news, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka has reached a decision to maintain policy interest rates at their current levels.
The Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka decided to maintain the standing deposit facility rate and the standing lending facility rate of the central bank at their current levels of 11% and 12% respectively. The central bank has eased its monetary policy stance considerably since early June 2023 by reducing its key policy interest rates. However, considering the presence of excessive interest rates on certain lending products and the inadequate downward adjustment in market lending interest rates relative to that of deposits, the board
board was of the view that the downward rigidity in lending interest rates of certain financial institutions needs to be addressed through the administrative measures. Accordingly, the board decided to impose caps on interest rates on pawning facilities at 18% per annum, on pre-arranged temporary overdrafts at 23% per annum, and on credit cards at 28% per annum for all licensed banks. The central bank said that the directions to effect these regulated interest rates will be issued shortly.
That's a wrap of the lunchtime news. Join us again at 9 p.m. for primetime news on TV1.